Welcome to the Charity Show Bites, your fast-paced fix of stories, insights and inspiration from across the sector. I'm Tim Bainan.
And I'm Piers Townley. And today we're lacing up our trainers and diving into the 2025 London Marathon, the UK's biggest single-day fundraising event.
We've combed through the highlights to bring you some of the most heartwarming, inspirational and high-achieving moments from this year's race.
From world records to personal triumphs and fancy dress feats, it's everything we love about charity fundraising on a grand scale.
So then, let's get running. Right then, Piers, we're going to look back on the London Marathon. So let's dive into some of our highlights from there. As a charity, firefighter charity, we had a fantastic day with some amazing runners raising a huge amount of money for us. And I'm sure for you, likewise, Piers, you had some great runners for the brain tumour charity.
We did. As with all charities, the day is such a celebration. We had 130 runners, some incredible, emotive, poignant stories of people running. Fantastic day, fantastic event.
Yeah, it was a hot one though, wasn't it? It was a warm one.
Hot. Yeah. Called people out, I think.
Yeah, it did. It definitely did. So then let's have a look back. We trawled the recent reports and see what we can find. And there's lots to chat about, actually. To kick things off, I wanted to talk about some of the records that were broken. So there was a total of 42 world records that were broken at the marathon last Sunday. And many of them were by runners raising money for charity. So it is just a few. There was a man dressed as a rhino who took home a new record for the most marathons run in the same three-dimensional costume. It was a pretty amazing achievement. His name is Chris Green, and he's known as Rhino Boy Chris. And he's completed, amazingly, 113 marathons dressed in a large grey rhino costume. I'm sure we've all seen them on the telly. And I remember running next to him when I did it in 2019. In fact, I think he was going faster than me, which is shocking. And so he's run 130 marathons in that grey rhino costume, complete with protruding horn, in an effort to raise awareness for the endangered animal. After he crossed the finish line, Mr. Green, who's 49, said he would love to retire, but that the rhino still needs saving.
Love that story. I love the epitaph, Rhino Boy, as well. What a moniker to have.
Yeah.
So from rhinos to flower power, there's Martin Pritchard Howarth, age 52, who completed the 26.2 mile course dressed as a sunflower in a pot. He said the outfit was a bit of a gimmick, but was participating on behalf of a fantastic cause. And he was raising money for the disability charity Scope.
Excellent. Why not? Sunflower. Yeah, quite fitting. It was a sunny day. Now, the world record for the fastest marathon dressed as a mythical creature was broken by 39-year-old Adam Cotterill. He wore a white unicorn outfit, complete with a rainbow mane that had been chosen by his unicorn-mad daughters. Good on him. Good on his daughters for choosing a suitable costume. Mr. Cotterill from Stourbridge in the West Midlands said he was raising money for the maternity ward at his local hospital, Russell's Hall, in Dudley, and thought his record attempt would gain more attention for the cause, and it's certainly done that. So well done to Adam. Well done, mate.
Of course, there are always so many touching and memorable stories at every London Marathon, but I think the one that touched us all this year was that of Sergio, Aguia and David Stancombe, the fathers of 9-year-old Alice and 7-year-old Elsie, two of the three girls who so sadly lost their lives in the Southport attack last summer. The pair of dads ran the race in memory of their daughters and to raise money for projects in their names. Incredible scenes. I saw their interview on the BBC before the race. It was very incredibly brave of them both and very touching and hugely emotional for them and for everybody with them for obvious reasons, but an amazing achievement by them both. So hats off to them. And there's so many other incredible inspirational stories from the day too, and we've got a little run through of some of them. Laura Coleman Day was running her 12th marathon in 12 months. Laura ran this year's marathon in her wedding dress to honour her late husband, Xander. She ran to raise money for Anthony Nolan, the charity that facilitated his stem cell transplant after his leukemia diagnosis. Tragically, Xander passed away last year, and Laura chose this year's marathon on their wedding anniversary to complete her challenge and celebrate his memory. David Wetherell, meanwhile, a three-time Paralympian in table tennis for Team GB. David aimed to set a new Guinness World Record as the fastest person to complete a marathon on crutches. Born with a hole in his heart and multiple epiphyseal dysplasia, I hope I've said that right, he put his entire body weight through his arms. And he ran to raise money for Breakthrough Type 1 Diabetes UK on behalf of his best friend's daughter, who has the condition. And from me, shout out to Freya Donahue. This young event rider ran to raise funds for the Swaledale Mountain Rescue Team,
that came to her aid after a serious fall while out hacking. She was knocked off a horse by a tree in a remote area, and the mountain rescue team used a location app to find her. Grateful for their help, she wanted to give back to the volunteer-run organisation. And over to one of our wonderful supporters, Rachel Punch, who's an equestrian rider. She ran for the Brain Tumour charity in memory of 3 family members. Her return to marathon running after a 15-year break was inspired by her sister, and this year marked her second time running the London Marathon, fueled by the support of her family.
And I've got a shout out as well, Piers, for someone who ran for Firefighters Charity. An incredible achievement from Steve Moore, who was a London Fire Brigade firefighter, and he ran the marathon for us this year, attempting to break the record for doing so in full firefighting gear, complete with breathing apparatus. And as we've already said, it was a scorcher of a day, so can't imagine how hot that must have been for him. And unfortunately, though, the heat really did make it tough for Steve, and it sort of put pay a bit to his record attempt. But being the incredible guy that he is, the inspirational trooper that he is when it comes to running as well, he battled through and completed the race. So well done, Steve. You're an inspiration to everyone, and thank you so much for doing what you did for the charity.
This is inspiration times 10, Tim. I mean, not alone, let alone running a marathon, to do it in full costume of any sort, but to do it in full breathing gear, it must be an incredible. I mean, we know the temperature of that day as well. Wow, yeah. What an event.
Yeah, incredible.
I've got some more costumes over here with the running telephone. Dave Locke, also known as the Running Telephone, completed his 25th London Marathon for the Samaritans charity. A long-time supporter who's raised thousands for the charity over the years. So maybe it's time to hang up the running shoes, Dave, but a huge well done from us.
Well done. I suppose he's hanging up. There's a bit of a pun, unintended telephone pun there thrown into the mix.
You know what, Tim? I'm sure he hasn't heard it before. So, today you can have that one on from us.
Well done, Dave. Good stuff. And another Dave, a familiar and much loved face at London Marathon, blind Dave Healy, completed yet another race. Dave, who is registered blind, ran with a guide to raise money for various charities. And again, I saw his story on the BBC coverage before the race as well. An amazing guy. His continuous participation and positive attitude serve as a powerful reminder that limitations don't have to define what's possible. So some amazing and inspirational stories from people who completed this year's London Marathon and raised a huge amount of money and awareness as well in the process. So well done to every single one of them, and to every single one of the 56,000 people who completed the race as well. An amazing achievement. And also, I must say, it did give me marathon envy, to the extent that I have gone and thrown my hat in the ring for next year's run, Piers, next year's marathon. And I'm just going to assume that you've done the same.
I thought you would do, Tim. I thought you would get the bug. I refused, or was very careful not to get swept up in the massive call. I mean, everyone says that they sign up straight after the one they've done, before the aching limbs and the blisters actually come to surface. No, I have not put my name in the ballot, despite a lot of peer pressure from people here at the Brain Tumour charity. I think I've got about a 10k in me maximum, so maybe I'll start off there and in the next year or two, but definitely not the London one.
I think it might start a listener's poll. Should Piers run the marathon? See what kind of response we get. I think we might do that for this episode. See what happens.
We shall see.
So, whether you were running dressed as a telephone or doing the whole thing on crutches, this year's London Marathon showed the power, creativity and sheer heart of fundraisers across the UK, doing what they do best to make London the single biggest charity fundraising event of the year.
And it's a reminder to every charity professional, get those stories out there, celebrate your fundraisers, share their impact.
So if your charity had an amazing marathon moment, tell us about it. Drop us a message on LinkedIn, X, or wherever you get your charity fix. Leave us a comment and tell us all about those amazing people who ran for you this year.
And if you enjoyed the Charity Show Bites, give us a 5-star rating and follow the show. It helps us reach much more people who care about this sector.
We're back next week with a full-length episode of the Charity Show, featuring a fantastic interview with the Stroke Association's Chief Executive, Juliette Bouverie.
So till then, have a fantastic bank holiday. See you next week.